You've been told there are only two ways to live your life. Either destiny is fixed, written in stone before you were born, and you're just a passenger on a predetermined ride. Or you have to fight, claw, hustle, burn yourself out creating the life you want through sheer force of will. Both are traps. And here's what nobody tells you. The moment you accept either one of these beliefs, you lock yourself into a version of reality that will prove you right. Choose the first and you become a paper boat floating wherever the current takes you. Choose the second and you become a warrior exhausted from battling waves that never stop coming. But what if I told you there's a third way? A way where you're neither powerless nor exhausted. A way where destiny isn't something that happens to you or something you have to fight for. It's something you choose, consciously, deliberately, like selecting a channel on an infinite cosmic television. This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't positive affirmations or manifesting boards. This is about understanding a structure that already exists. A structure that quantum physics has been pointing to for decades, but almost nobody connects to their actual life. I'm talking about the space of variations. And before you think this is some abstract philosophical concept, let me be clear. This is the most practical information you'll ever receive about how reality actually works. Because once you understand this space, once you see that every possible version of your life already exists as information, you can't unsee it. The question becomes, which version will you choose? Most people never get to make that choice, not because they can't, but because they don't know the choice exists. They think they're stuck with one reality, this reality, the one where they're struggling, surviving, settling. But here's the truth they don't teach you. You're living inside an infinite field of possibility right now. A field where every decision you could make, every path you could take, every destiny you could live already exists. Not as potential, as information. And the moment you understand how to navigate this field, everything changes. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to see what's been hidden in plain sight? Let me tell you where you are right now. You're exhausted from trying. You've read the books, watched the videos, followed the advice, work harder, think positive, take action, manifest your dreams, and some days it works. Some days you feel the momentum, but then the ground shifts beneath you and you're back where you started, wondering if any of it matters. Or maybe you've gone the other way. Maybe you've decided that trying is pointless, that life happens to you, not because of you, that some people get lucky and others don't, and you're just playing the hand you were dealt. Either way, you're stuck in the same cage. The cage of believing there are only two options. I know this cage intimately because I lived in it. The exhaustion of pushing, the numbness of surrendering, the constant oscillation between hope and resignation. And here's what nobody talks about. This isn't your fault. You weren't taught that there's another option. You were told, either fight or accept. Either create your reality through grinding effort or accept that reality is beyond your control. But both of these positions come from the same misunderstanding about how reality actually works. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the harder you fight for something, the more elusive it becomes? That's not because the universe is cruel. It's because force creates resistance. And have you noticed that when you completely give up, when you stop caring, sometimes that's when things fall into place? There's a pattern here, a clue. The pattern is this. Reality doesn't respond to your effort. It doesn't respond to your resignation either. Reality responds to your frequency, your alignment, the energetic signature you're broadcasting into this infinite field we're about to explore. Most people spend their entire lives transmitting the signal of struggle or the signal of defeat, and the field, being precise, being neutral, reflects that signal back to them with stunning accuracy. But here's where it gets interesting. What if the field isn't just reflecting your current signal? What if it contains every possible signal, every possible version of you, every possible destiny already existing, waiting to be selected? This isn't metaphor, this isn't poetry, this is structure. This is how the space of information works. And once you understand this structure, you realize something profound. You don't have to create your ideal life from scratch. You don't have to build it through years of effort and sacrifice. You just have to find it in the field. and tune into its frequency. That's the third way. So before we go deeper, I want you to pause with something. If everything you've tried hasn't worked the way you hoped, what if it's not because you're doing it wrong? What if it's because you've been operating inside a framework that was incomplete from the start? Ready to see the complete picture? Let's dive into the space where all your possible destinies exist. Here's what they don't tell you in any self-help book, any spiritual teaching, any success seminar. There exists, right now, a structure. An infinite information structure that contains every possible variant of every possible event. Not as potential futures that might happen, as existing realities that already are. This structure is called the space of variations. Think of it like this. Imagine a warehouse, but this warehouse is infinite. And instead of boxes on shelves, it contains scripts. Billions of scripts. Every script describes a different version of reality, a different sequence of events, a different outcome to the same situation. Your life right now? It's one script. But in this warehouse, there's a script where you made different choices, a script where you met different people, a script where you're living a completely different life, successful, fulfilled, free, not as a fantasy, but as information that exists. Now here's where most people's minds shut down. They think, okay, so multiple realities exist theoretically. So what? I'm stuck in this one. But that's the part they get wrong. You're not stuck, you're choosing. Every moment you're choosing which script to activate through your focus, your attention, your emotional frequency. You just don't realize you're making that choice because you've never been taught that the choice exists. Let me explain the structure more precisely. The space of variations isn't just information floating in some abstract realm. It's organized. Every point in this space has two components, the script and the decorations. The script is what happens, the sequence of events, the plot. The decorations are how it looks, the external form, the setting. Picture watching a theatrical performance. Same story, same script, but performed in different theaters, with different actors, different costumes, different lighting. That's what moving through nearby sectors of the space of variations looks like. The core script is similar, but the decorations shift. Now imagine the script itself changes. Different plot, different characters, different outcome entirely. That's moving to a more distant sector. This is what we call a life track. And your life track is the path you're currently on, the sequence of events that feels like your story. But here's the revelation most people never grasp. Your track isn't a railroad with no exits. It's one channel among infinite channels, and you can change the channel. Not through force, not through positive thinking alone. Through understanding how to shift your frequency to match the track you want. And that shift, that's what we're going to explore, because once you see how this works, you can't go back to believing you're powerless. But first, let me show you why this isn't just philosophy. Let me show you why even science has been pointing to this for 100 years. I want you to understand something fundamental about how material reality emerges from this infinite information field. Because without this understanding, the space of variation sounds mystical. With it, it becomes mechanical. Let me give you 3 metaphors, 3 different ways to see the same truth. First metaphor, the frozen pipe. Imagine a pipe full of flowing water. Now imagine the temperature drops and the water begins to crystallize into ice. The water molecules don't disappear, they lock into a rigid structure. They become solid, fixed material. The water is the space of variations, infinite, flowing, containing all possibilities. The ice is material reality, one crystallized variant, one frozen configuration out of infinite potential configurations. And here's the critical part. You, as a conscious observer, are one of those molecules. Your position in the crystal structure determines what you experience as your reality. But the water, the field of infinite variations, is still there. You're just experiencing one frozen snapshot of it. Second metaphor, the ocean wave. Picture the ocean. Vast, infinite. Now watch a wave rise and move across the surface. That wave looks like a distinct thing moving through space, but what's actually moving? Not the water, The water molecules barely move. What's moving is energy, a pattern of energy rippling through the medium. The ocean is the space of variations, the unchanging field that contains everything. The wave is your life, your experience, your perceived reality, a moving pattern of energy that appears solid and separate, but is actually inseparable from the infinite field beneath it. When you understand this, you realize something stunning. You're not separate from the field. You're not a thing moving through space. You're a pattern in the field, a wave of consciousness experiencing itself as individual while being fundamentally connected to the whole. Third metaphor, the film reel. This one might be the most radical. Imagine a film, an old physical film reel. Every frame already exists. Frame 1, frame 100, frame 1000, they're all there simultaneously. The film doesn't create itself as it plays. It already is. When you watch the film, you experience time as flowing, past, present, future, but that flow is an illusion of perception. All frames exist at once. Now apply this to your life. What if time isn't actually flowing? What if past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in the space of variations, and consciousness is simply moving through the frames, experiencing them sequentially? This is where it gets profound. If all moments exist simultaneously, then the future you want, the destiny you dream of, already exists. Not as a potential, as information in a frame you haven't reached yet, or more accurately, as information on a different reel altogether, a different life track running parallel to yours. And here's the implication that changes everything. If that future already exists, you don't have to create it. You don't have to build it through effort and sacrifice and years of grinding. You just have to find it, select it, tune into its frequency. That's what navigation of the space of variations is. Finding the track that already contains what you want and shifting your frequency to match it, not forcing reality to bend to your will, not surrendering to fate, but consciously choosing which existing variant to experience. Most people never do this. They stay on the track they were born into, the track their circumstances place them on, believing it's the only track there is. Or they try to change their track through brute force, pushing, striving, exhausting themselves, not realizing there's a completely different mechanism available. But before you can use that mechanism, you need to understand why this isn't just spiritual philosophy. You need to see how quantum physics has been confirming this structure for decades. Let's go there next. Here's where it gets interesting. Everything I've described, the space of variations, multiple realities existing simultaneously, consciousness selecting which variant to experience, sounds mystical, new age, unscientific, except quantum physics has been saying the same thing for 100 years. Let me show you. In the quantum realm, particles don't behave the way we expect. An electron, for instance, isn't just a particle. It's also a wave, not metaphorically, literally. Depending on how you observe it, it exhibits particle-like behavior or wave-like behavior. This isn't a quirk of electrons. This is fundamental to reality. Niels Bohr created a model of the atom where electrons are discrete particles orbiting the nucleus, neat, solid, predictable. But there's another model, the wave model, where electrons are smeared out probability clouds, fuzzy, diffuse, existing in multiple states simultaneously until observed. Both models are correct, both accurately describe reality. The question is, which reality are you observing? And here's the kicker. The act of observation determines which reality manifests. This is called the observer effect, and it's not controversial. It's established science. When you measure a quantum particle as a wave, it behaves like a wave. When you measure it as a particle, it behaves like a particle. The observer, you, consciousness, attention, collapses the wave function. You select which potential reality becomes actual. Now, most scientists stop here. They say, interesting phenomenon at the quantum level, but it doesn't apply to everyday life. But what if it does? What if the mechanism that collapses quantum possibilities into material reality is the same mechanism that selects which life track you experience? What if your focus, your attention, your emotional frequency, the energetic signature you're broadcasting is literally collapsing the infinite variations in the space of variations into the singular reality you perceive? This isn't a leap. This is the logical extension of what quantum mechanics has already proven at the smallest scales. The space of variations is the uncollapsed wave function of your entire life. Every possible decision, every possible outcome, every possible destiny existing simultaneously as information, as potential, as wave. And you, your consciousness, your observation, your focus are the mechanism that collapses that wave into a single track, a single experienced reality. Most people don't realize they're doing this. They think reality just happens to them. They think they're observing a pre-existing world, but quantum mechanics suggests the opposite. The world comes into being through observation. You're not discovering reality, you're selecting it. Now here's what this means practically. If different models of reality are all valid, if the particle model and the wave model both accurately describe the electron, then different worldviews are all valid too. The person who believes destiny is fixed will experience a reality where that's true. The person who believes they create their destiny through effort will experience a reality where that's true. Whatever worldview you adopt, it will be a right one, because your worldview determines what you observe, and what you observe collapses into material form. This is why I said at the beginning, both beliefs are traps, not because they're wrong, because they're limited. They're selecting from a narrow band of possibilities in an infinite field. The third way, the way of transurfing, is to understand that you're always selecting, always collapsing the wave function, always choosing a track. And once you understand that, you can choose consciously. You can choose the track that already contains the destiny you want. Not through force, through alignment, not through positive thinking alone, through understanding the mechanics of how consciousness navigates the space of variations. And that's what we're going to explore next. How life tracks actually work, how destiny shifts, how you move from one variant to another without fighting, without exhausting yourself, without years of grinding effort. Because once you know the mechanism, everything becomes simpler. Ready? Let's go deeper into how this actually works in your life. Let me tell you how your life actually unfolds. You think you're living moment to moment, making decisions, responding to circumstances, building a future step by step, and in one sense, you are. But in another, more fundamental sense, you're following a track, a life track. A life track is a chain of causally connected events. One thing leads to another, and this chain forms a path through the space of variations. The path you're on right now. But here's what most people don't grasp. That path isn't the only path. Imagine standing in a vast field of railroad tracks, hundreds of tracks, thousands, each one leading somewhere different. Most of them run parallel for a while, similar destinations, similar scenery, but some diverge dramatically, leading to completely different places. That's the structure of the space of variations. Life tracks that are close together have similar scripts and similar decorations. You're still you. You're still in the same general circumstances, but small details differ. A different job, a different relationship, a slightly different version of your story. Life tracks that are far apart have radically different scripts, different life entirely, different identity, different circumstances, different destiny. And here's the critical insight. You move between tracks all the time. You just don't realize you're doing it. Every significant event in your life, every major decision, every unexpected turn is a moment when you shifted tracks. When your life went in a direction you didn't anticipate. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but always you moved from one chain of causality to another. The question is, can you do this consciously? Can you deliberately move from the track you're on to a track you prefer? The answer is yes, but not through the methods you've been taught. Let me explain with an example. Imagine you're watching a play. Romeo and Juliet, classic story, classic script. Now imagine the same play performed in 3 different theaters. First theater, Broadway, professional actors, elaborate set design, massive budget, high-quality decorations. Second theater, community theater, passionate amateurs, simple set, modest budget, simpler decorations. Third theater, a park, no set at all. The actors perform on grass, minimal decorations. Same script, different decorations. These are nearby life tracks. The core story, your essential path, remains similar, but the external form shifts. Now imagine the script itself changes. The actors are still on stage, but now they're performing Hamlet instead of Romeo and Juliet. Different story entirely, different outcome. That's a more distant life track. And finally, imagine you leave the theater entirely and go to a completely different venue. A concert hall where a symphony is playing. No theatrical script at all, radically different track. This is how the space of variations is organized. Tracks near your current position have similar scripts. Tracks further away have different scripts, and tracks very far away are unrecognizable as your life at all. But here's what changes everything. You don't have to build the track you want. It already exists. That version of your life where you're successful, fulfilled, free from the struggles you're facing now, it's not in the future. It's not something you have to create through years of effort. It exists right now as information in a different sector of the space of variations. And the way you access it isn't through force, it's through frequency alignment. Think about a radio. Turn the dial and you pick up different stations. You're not creating the radio waves. They're all broadcasting simultaneously. You're just tuning into one. Your consciousness works the same way. Focus on struggle, broadcast the frequency of lack, stay emotionally entangled with your current problems, and you stay tuned to the track where those problems persist. But shift your frequency, shift your focus, your emotion, your energetic signature, and you begin tuning into a different track. A track where the problems you're obsessed with don't exist, where different circumstances, different opportunities, different outcomes are the norm. This isn't wishful thinking, this is navigation. And navigation requires something most people never develop, the ability to let go of your current track while simultaneously aligning with the track you want. Most people can't do this. They either cling to their current reality with white-knuckled desperation, afraid to let go, or they try to force their way onto a different track through sheer effort, exhausting themselves in the process. Both approaches fail for the same reason. They're rooted in resistance, in fighting, in trying to make reality bend. But reality doesn't bend, it selects. And what determines which variant gets selected? Your state of being, your frequency, the coherent signal you're broadcasting into the field. This is where most manifestation teachings fail. They tell you to visualize, to affirm, to think positive thoughts. But they don't teach you how to shift your state of being. They don't teach you how to become the frequency of the track you want. And without that shift, no amount of visualization changes anything. Because you're still broadcasting the old signal, the signal of struggle, of lack, of being someone who wants but doesn't have. So here's the pivot. Here's where this stops being information and becomes power. The way you shift tracks isn't by doing more, it's by being different. By embodying the energetic signature of the track you want. Before that track manifests in material form. That's the paradox, that's the part almost nobody understands. You don't get the new life and then feel successful. You feel successful, embody success, radiate success, and the track that matches that frequency materializes around you. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. So here's where you are right now. You understand that the space of variations exists. You understand that infinite versions of your life exist simultaneously. You understand that life tracks are real, that you're already on one, and that other tracks are available. But understanding isn't enough, because the question burning in your mind is, how do I actually move to a different track? Let me be radically honest with you. You can't force it. You can't hustle your way onto a better track. And you can't passively wait for it to happen either. This is the third way I've been pointing to, and it requires a fundamental shift in how you approach life. Most people are living in one of two modes. Mode 1, grasping, trying to control every outcome, micromanaging every detail, white-knuckling their way toward goals. They're broadcasting the frequency of desperation, of need, of I don't have this yet. And the field, being precise, reflects that frequency back as continued lack. Mode 2, resignation, believing they have no power, that life happens to them, that they're at the mercy of circumstances. They're broadcasting the frequency of powerlessness. And again, the field reflects that back. Both modes miss the mechanism entirely. The mechanism is this: you shift tracks by choosing, not controlling, by aligning, not forcing, by becoming the frequency of what you want, not chasing it. Let me break this down practically. Choosing means making a conscious selection in the space of variations. Not hoping, not wishing, not trying to make it happen through action alone, but deciding with clarity and certainty that the track you want is yours, that it already exists, that you're simply tuning into it. This isn't delusional. This is understanding structure. The track does exist. Your job isn't to create it. Your job is to select it and align with it. Alignment means matching your inner state to the track you've chosen. If you've chosen a track where you're successful, you have to embody success now. Not fake it. Embody it. Feel it. Radiate it. Let it become your baseline frequency. Here's what this doesn't mean. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not. It doesn't mean ignoring your current reality or bypassing your emotions. It means recognizing that your current reality is one track among many, and your emotional state is what determines whether you stay on that track or shift to another. And here's what most people get wrong. They think they have to feel good all the time. They think any negative emotion means they've failed, that they've lowered their vibration, that they've blown their chance at manifesting what they want. That's not how it works. Emotions are data. Fear, frustration, doubt, they're showing you where you're still entangled with your current track, where you're still believing that this track is the only reality. And once you see that, once you recognize the entanglement, you can choose differently. You don't suppress the emotion. You witness it. You let it pass, and then you return to the frequency of the track you've chosen. This is the practice, and it's subtle. It doesn't look dramatic from the outside. You're not fighting battles, forcing doors open, hustling until you collapse. You're simply consistently, gently returning to the frequency of what you want, day after day, moment after moment. And here's what starts to happen. Synchronicities emerge, opportunities appear, doors open that weren't there before, not because you forced them, because you stopped resisting, because you became congruent with a different track, and the universe, or more accurately, the space of variations, began reflecting that congruence back to you. People call this luck, coincidence, being in the right place at the right time. But it's not luck, it's navigation. You've shifted tracks and the new track is unfolding. Now, I want to be clear about something. This doesn't mean you do nothing. It doesn't mean you sit at home visualizing and wait for the universe to deliver. Action is part of the process, but it's inspired action. Action that flows from alignment, not from desperation. When you're aligned with a track, the actions you need to take become obvious. They feel natural. They don't require forcing. You're not dragging yourself through drudgery hoping it pays off someday. You're following the path that's already opening in front of you. This is what mastery of destiny looks like. Not control, not surrender, but conscious navigation of an infinite field of possibility. And the most stunning part? You've always had this power. You just didn't know you were using it. You were selecting tracks unconsciously based on fear, based on conditioning, based on whatever frequency was running through you by default. But now you know. Now you see the mechanism, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So here's my question for you. Which track are you choosing? Not which track do you want someday. Which track are you choosing right now? Which frequency are you embodying in this moment? Because that choice, that frequency, that's what the space of variations is responding to. Always. Let me bring this all together because this is where everything clicks. You were taught there are two ways to live. Destiny is fixed, or you create it through effort, passivity or grinding, surrender or struggle. But both of these are operating inside the same misunderstanding. The belief that there's only one reality, one track, one version of your life, and therefore you either accept it or fight it. But now you know the truth. There isn't one reality. There are infinite realities, infinite tracks, infinite versions of your life, all existing simultaneously in the space of variations. And the mechanism that determines which one you experience isn't fate. It isn't hard work. It's frequency. It's consciousness. It's the signal you're broadcasting into the field through your focus, your emotion, your state of being. This is the third way. Not passive, not grinding, but navigating, choosing, aligning. And here's why this changes everything. When you believe destiny is fixed, you give away your power. You become a victim. You stop trying because you think it doesn't matter. When you believe you have to force your destiny into existence, you exhaust yourself. You burn out. You make life a battlefield. But when you understand the space of variations, when you see that every possible destiny already exists as information, and your job is simply to tune into the one you want, everything becomes lighter. Simpler, more elegant. You're not creating something from nothing. You're not battling fate. You're navigating. You're selecting. You're becoming congruent with a version of reality that already is. Let me tell you what this looks like in practice. Imagine you're struggling financially. Most people approach this in one of two ways. They either accept it, I'm just not good with money, this is who I am. Or they fight it. I'm going to work 3 jobs, sacrifice everything, grind until I break through. Both keep you on the same track, the track where financial struggle is the theme. The third way is different. You recognize that in the space of variations, there's a track where you're financially abundant, not someday, right now. As existing information, and you make the choice, not a wish, not a hope, but a decision, that track is yours. Then you do the subtle work of alignment. You stop identifying as someone who struggles. You stop telling the story of lack. You stop broadcasting the frequency of I don't have enough. Not by pretending you're rich when you're not, but by disidentifying with poverty as your identity. You become someone for whom financial flow is natural. Not by lying to yourself, by recognizing that this identity already exists in another sector of the space of variations and you're tuning into it. And as you do this, as you consistently, gently return to that frequency, your actions change. Your decisions change. Opportunities you would have missed suddenly become visible. Synchronicities emerge. Not because the universe is bending to your will, because you've shifted tracks. This is what sovereignty looks like. Not control, not surrender, but conscious selection. And here's the part that most spiritual teachings miss. This isn't just about material outcomes. It's not just about money or success or relationships. It's about freedom. The freedom to know that you're not trapped, that no matter what track you're on right now, it's not the only track, that you always have the right to choose differently. You have the right to choose. Read that again. You have the right to choose. Not because I'm giving you permission, because it's the fundamental structure of reality. The space of variations is neutral. It doesn't care what track you select. It doesn't judge. It simply contains all possibilities and responds to whatever frequency you broadcast. And nobody, no circumstance, no person, no past event can take that right away from you. They can influence you. They can condition you. They can make you believe you don't have a choice. But the choice remains, always. This is the power I want you to understand. This is the shift that makes everything else possible. You're not a victim of your past. You're not a prisoner of your circumstances. You're not limited by what you were told is realistic or possible. Your consciousness navigating an infinite field of information. And every moment you're selecting which variant of that field to experience through your focus, your emotion, your state of being. Most people never realize this. They live their entire lives on one track, believing it's the only track, never knowing that a shift in frequency, a shift in alignment, could move them to an entirely different reality. But you know now. You see the mechanism, and seeing it, you can't pretend you don't have power anymore. You can't blame your circumstances. You can't say, I have no choice. Because you do. You always have. The question is, what will you choose? Which life track will you tune into? Which version of yourself will you embody? Which frequency will you broadcast into the field? Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, right now. Because the space of variations is responding to you right now. It's always responding. Every moment is a selection, every thought, every emotion, every focus selecting. So choose consciously, choose powerfully, choose the track that makes your soul come alive and watch what happens. So here we are. You've seen the structure. You understand the space of variations. You know that life tracks exist, that frequency determines selection, that you've always had the power to choose, you just didn't know you were choosing. Now the question is, what will you do with this information? Because information without application is just entertainment. And I didn't create this to entertain you. I created it to shift you. So here's what I want you to do. First, pause. Really pause. Let this sink in. Don't rush to the next video, the next distraction, the next thing. Sit with what you've learned. Let it reshape how you see your life. Second, make a choice. Right now. Not about what you want to achieve, about which track you're selecting, which version of your life, which destiny that already exists in the space of variations is yours. Write it down if that helps. Speak it out loud. Commit to it, not as a goal, as a decision, a selection. Third, begin the practice of alignment. Start noticing when you're broadcasting the frequency of your old track, struggle, lack, limitation, and consciously return to the frequency of the track you've chosen. Over and over, moment by moment. This is the work. And finally, if this resonated with you, if you felt something shift inside you while watching this, then you're part of this movement, this community, this space where we're learning to navigate reality consciously instead of unconsciously. So drop a comment, one word that captures your energy right now, one word that represents the track you're choosing. And if you're ready to go even deeper, hit that subscribe button. Because in reality Transurfing number 3, we're going into the mechanics that will blow your mind. I'm going to reveal exactly how your thoughts become energy waves that illuminate specific sectors of the space of variations, and why this isn't metaphor, it's physics. You'll discover the one mistake that keeps your dreams locked in fantasy while someone else's choices become reality. And I'll show you why the tourist and the homeless person see completely different worlds in the same city, because they're literally on different life tracks. Plus the truth about why wishing for happiness pushes it away, but choosing it pulls it toward you instantly. This is where everything becomes practical, where you stop wondering what if and start experiencing what is. But for now, just sit with this. You have the right to choose. And whatever you choose, the field will respond. Welcome to the third way.